Alrighty. Are we live? Just checking. Yes, I think we are live. I'll give you guys a couple seconds to get into the chat. How we doing, guys? Saturday. Yes, Saturday night stream. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've done one of these. But yeah, we're going to talk some wrestling tonight. Let me take a... Gotta say, let me know what's your favorite beverage, man. Tell me, strawberry kiwi Snapples, man. These are absolutely bomb. Like, I get these from my work. They have them in the fridge. I take like 10 home at the end of the week. So bomb. But yeah, let me see who's in the chat real quick. Yes. What up, Braxton? What up, Jazz? I was like, just got back from the gym, so I'm a little tired. But yes, I know. Very late with the Smackdown review. I was, gonna go live about a couple hours ago, but I'm going live now. You guys have been telling me you guys want me to keep giving you guys Smackdown reviews, so this is what we're gonna do. All right. Next week, I think we will be back on schedule, but this is just a 1 week thing. But yeah. We are going to talk about SmackDown. So, yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Fitzmonk TV here, aka G-Lauren33. I am back here tonight with a special Saturday night episode of the Legit Shoot podcast. Here with your SmackDown review and results for January 22nd, 2021. Thank you guys for joining me on the podcast tonight. Hopefully you guys are doing well, staying safe, staying healthy. Like, we are live on camera. It's been a while since we've done an on-camera SmackDown review. But I'm here, I'm home, and we're gonna talk about SmackDown, which I will say, SmackDown last night, in my opinion, it was a pretty good show. Wasn't, perfect, wasn't the best show ever, but I did enjoy last night's SmackDown. As you guys can see from the title, when creativity works, and that's kind of going to be our little opening shoot as we get into the podcast tonight, right? Basically, if you guys look, one thing that I complain about all the time, especially when it comes to, Monday Night Raw and the Raw reviews we do, right? Those shows are dreadful to get through, because WWE will do all these nonsense, segments and think they're being creative and think they're being entertaining. For example, R-Truth in the 24/7 title. That's not entertaining at all. Sure, R-Truth's funny on his own, but the 24/7 championship and the gimmick behind it is supposed to be entertaining. We all know the 24/7 title is not meant to be taken seriously, but they try to make it funny and it doesn't work, like having Drew Gulak dress as a turkey, right? Or have like a bunch of Hall of Famers come and they, trade the 24/7 title throughout the night. That's not funny or entertaining. It's just stupid. It's just stupid. And, we all know WWE at the end of the day, it's sports entertainment, right? The wrestling parts is the sports, and everything else with the storylines is supposed to be the entertainment. And Monday Night Raw, there's nothing entertaining about that show. Nothing. In recent weeks, of course, like I've been saying, the Raw reviews, like what they've been doing with Alexa Bliss and Randy Orton and The Fiend and that storyline. That's, that's as creative as Raw has been in about a year. And, those storylines are actually doing really well. And I'm proud. I got to give WWE credit. That's the best thing going on Raw. The only thing that's really going on Raw these days. So when I look at Raw, that's the only creative thing on the show. Everything else that they try, like doing that stupid Lana versus Bobby Lashley, segment, right? The worst wedding in the history of Raw. That's not entertaining. It's not entertaining at all. I want WWE to be entertaining. I want them to be creative. I want them to be outside the box, right? Because it's going to make your TV that more, captivating. But they don't do that on Monday Night Raw. But SmackDown last night, that's what I saw as good creative, right? It's not always about what's going on in the ring. It is, the prime focus of WWE. We're there to see good wrestling, right? And of course, you have the storylines and everything around that. But, when you do creative segments like we saw last night and you actually make it work, it can make the show that much better. the Bianca Belair versus Bayley the obstacle course, right? Perfect. We know that Bayley and Bianca Belair are going to be two of the favorites going to the Royal Rumble, and at first, when you look at the segment, you think, oh, this is going to be wacky. But it did a great job of showing Bayley and how great she is still as a heel. Even though she's no longer SmackDown Women's Champion, she's still doing a tremendous job in her role. And Bianca, right, who is on the come up, an up-and-coming babyface star, it did a great job of showcasing her abilities and showing you why she's going to be a force in the women's division for years to come. And the way they did that obstacle course yesterday was tremendous. Tremendous. I loved it. It did a great job building up both Bayley and Bianca Belair. And I feel like that should lead into the Royal Rumble, which it should. Also, Sasha Banks versus Reginald. Usually with these kinds of intergender matches, you're like, no. But Sasha Banks is the best female wrestler in the world. And I've always said Sasha can have a 5-star match with a paper bag. Last night was another prime example of why I'm such a big Sasha Banks fan. Right? What she did with Reginald in that match, I think it was only about 5 minutes, of course. It was something that nobody, and I mean it when I say this, there was nobody else in that women's division right now that could have done what Sasha did with Reginald last night. And of course, we'll talk about that. Another good example of good creative. One more example I'll give you guys from last night's show. What they did with Roman Reigns, Adam Pearce, Paul Heyman, and Kevin Owens. The whole thing, which we'll talk about in just a moment because Roman opened the show. Roman talked about how Adam Pearce got one over on the Tribal Chief, right? But Roman got one over on Adam Pearce tonight, and it was brilliant. I love the way they framed it. Even though it did lead to Kevin Owens, returning at the end of the night, and it makes sense, of course, right? Because we know we're getting Roman and KO at the Rumble. Still, the way that they did it, it was a great job, and I got to give them credit. This last night's SmackDown was a good example of when creative works. There is a need for creativity. And the SmackDown writing staff is so much better than the Raw writing staff. I don't know the reasons for it. I don't know if those guys are just that much better writers, right? Yeah, I know Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard are running both shows, but SmackDown is just on a much bigger level right now than Monday Night Raw. And I've been saying that now for a couple months. So, like, it's just something we got to be honest about. Something we got to be honest. We're going to talk about SmackDown. Since we're live, because I usually don't do my SmackDown reviews live. They're usually pre-recorded. I'm going to look in the chat a little bit more today. Stuart, what time is it? Aren't you in England right now? Isn't it like 1 a.m. over there? But I'm going to be a little bit more laid back on this review. Plus, SmackDown was not a bad show last night, so I'm not going to really have the need to rant. So let me go to Bryan Alvarez's Twitter real quick. All right, let me see. I just want to see. I want to see the SmackDown ratings. For all we know, he may not even post them, but yeah. Oh, so yeah, no SmackDown rating from him. Let me just check on Google real quick. SmackDown rating. All right, here we go. All right, so the show had an average of 2.282 million viewers. That's good for SmackDown, right? Because remember, earlier last year, they were hovering about the 1.8, 1.9 range. And then around Christmas time, right, when they had that huge lead-in from the Vikings-Saints game, they had the peak of 4 million viewers, and then it was around 3.04. So 2.28, that's much closer to a 2.3. That's really good. Plus, they had an average of a 0.6 in the 18 to 49 demo, which we always know that's the most important part because that's the demo which the advertisers are looking for. All right, and it was tied for number 2 in the all of cable last night, so that's good. Shark Tank was at a 0.7, so almost no difference there. So like I said, the SmackDown ratings are up. They're definitely up. This is very good for SmackDown to start the year, having it at a 2.28. And I believe the highest rated segment was the obstacle course segment. I believe so, man. I'm trying to look right now. Yeah, the obstacle course. And I got all SmackDown's rating right now. The January 1st episode, right, the New Year's one, that was 2.0. January 8th, 2.1, January 15th, 2.2, and of course last night 2.28. So the SmackDown ratings have went up every single week. It's going up slowly, but they are going up. So SmackDown is getting better and better every single week. That's all I want. This is what I've always been saying. If you give consistent storytelling, especially when you have stars like Roman Reigns and Sasha Banks running your shows, your ratings are going to go up. The SmackDown ratings have went up every single week this month. The Raw ratings, I know I think they were like a 1.8, which is up for Monday Night Raw because we know how bad the ratings have been. But I got to give credit where credit is due. I'm not going to sit here and lie to y'all, right? Yes. Stuart says it's midnight here. Appreciate your support as always, bro. But, Emmett YouTube says ratings are usually high from here to WrestleMania. Well, I kind of agree with you on that, right? But I remember last year the ratings were down because nobody cared about anything that he was doing going to WrestleMania. Because the WrestleMania card last year was not that good. It was not that good. It wasn't until the last couple of weeks, of course, when we got, Randy Orton and Edge, Undertaker and AJ Styles, right? Cena made his return. That's when, people started having more interest in Mania. And then the pandemic hit and everything went to crap. But if the shows aren't good, people aren't going to care. It's that simple. Remember SummerSlam last year? Just no one cared about WWE during SummerSlam because the card was that bad. It was not a good card. So, but now that WWE, at least SmackDown, is giving more consistent shows, right? There aren't perfect shows. There aren't out of these world shows, but they're decent shows at the end of the day. SmackDown is so much more watchable than Raw that, but I just got a text from my girl. What was I saying? If I told you guys all the time, if SmackDown is consistent, right? The shows are gonna get better and better and better, and that means the ratings are just gonna go up. It's that simple. They're using so many more people over on SmackDown, right? For a 2-hour show, right? For them to use that many people in the show to still be decent, that's all I'm asking for. That's all I'm asking for at the end of the day. Raw, they throw superstar after superstar after superstar, but we don't care about these superstars and anything they do. Last night on SmackDown, most of these superstars I actually give a crap about because WWE's doing a decent job of booking them correctly. So, that's why the ratings are showing improvement every single week. Hopefully they continue to do it. I don't really know what they're doing over there on SmackDown. I don't know who's on the creative team, but I got to give them credit. Last night's show was pretty good. Was it the best show of the year? It's still very early. It may have been. I don't really remember the first couple shows of the year. SmackDown hasn't had a bad show this year. Their worst show was probably last week. Yeah, I know I didn't do a review for SmackDown last week, but last week's show wasn't terrible. It wasn't like awful. It wasn't anything good, or it wasn't anything special. But last week's SmackDown was just That's really the way to describe it. This week's show was much better. So we're going to talk about this week's show. It did a really good job, in my opinion, of building towards the Royal Rumble, which is a week away. So next week is Royal Rumble week. I don't know if I'm good. I usually do a Royal Rumble prediction show, but let's be honest, the card for this year's Royal Rumble is very small, and it's usually like that. But if I do a or a Royal Rumble preview, it might just be with next week's SmackDown review. So next week's podcast might be a little bit longer because I might just do the Royal Rumble preview and the SmackDown review all in one, bunch group, right? But that's about, and of course next week I am planning to do a Royal Rumble watch along, right? So I'll have some friends with Discord with me, and we're gonna watch the Royal Rumble just like we did last year. I don't know if anybody in the chat was here for last year's Royal Rumble stream, because last year's Royal Rumble stream I was mainly waiting for Sasha the entire Women's Royal Rumble, and then she didn't return. Right, because she didn't return for like another 2 weeks because I believe Sasha was injured at the time. And then Charlotte won the Rumble. I remember how depressed my reaction was to that. And then if you guys were here for the Men's Royal Rumble, I love that Royal Rumble. That was a great reaction, especially with Edge coming back, Drew McIntyre, Claymoring Brock Lesnar, then McIntyre winning the Rumble, so I am excited because I do love the Royal Rumble. It's gonna be whack that they're not gonna have fans. We're gonna have to get used to some automated, freaking piped in countdown. Which I understand we're in a pandemic, but I'm just like there's really no way you can't bring just some fans into the Thunderdome. You're in a baseball stadium, right? You can easily socially distance them throughout the baseball stadium. You know, like I would do something like that, kind of like what they do in the Capitol Wrestling Center, the Performance Center for NXT. They have the people on the screens, and they have some fans that are socially distanced with masks, of course. So I don't know why you're in a baseball stadium. You know, even though I am excited that WrestleMania is gonna have fans this year, I'm just like I feel like it's just as important to have fans for the Rumble. Just because, the fans are what make the Rumble great. The reactions, the countdown, right? So that's something, even though I love the Royal Rumble, it's going to be weird this year. We'll see what happens, because you never know. We still have a week to the Rumbles. Anything can happen. But, yeah, I am planning to do a watch long for the Rumble this year. So that is on the table. And, of course, right after the Royal Rumble goes off the air, Royal Rumble review right here on the podcast. So that's definitely things you guys are going to want to look forward to. All right. What's up, everybody in the chat? Yo, what up, Paul? What up, Jackson? How you guys doing, go? Oh, yeah. Also tonight, I am excited. I'm recording this Saturday night, watching the Conor McGregor fight later on. So that is going to be hype. But, yeah. I know I'm rambling a lot. It's probably because we're live. If this was a pre-recorded Smackdown review, I would have already been halfway through the show already. But yeah, that's enough of I guess announcements. Let's actually get into Smackdown tonight. I don't want to make this a wicked long podcast, especially for those who are gonna watch after the stream. But basically, these shows started off with Roman Reigns. So one negative, right? There's not too many negatives I have tonight, but one negative I do have is I'm getting a little tired, and I said this a couple weeks ago. Does Roman Reigns have to open the show every single week? We don't know. Sasha Banks and Roman Reigns, and I can also put Sami Zayn and Bayley on those lists because all four of them were fantastic last night. They've been, the best people on SmackDown since, late last year. Those four names, Sasha, Bayley, Roman, Sami Zayn, the work they've done on SmackDown has been second to none. Right? But I gotta say, Roman Reigns does not need to open the show every single week. Every week. They start the show, Roman comes off with the same black shirt, same, pants, he got his hair all tied up, he got the Universal title. Usually he got Paul Heyman to his left, he is Jey Uso to his right. There was no Jey Uso last night. He wasn't there at all, So I don't know what's going on with that. I haven't heard anything, about Jey Uso maybe having COVID or maybe being injured. Maybe he was just not on the show. Maybe they just had nothing for him. But usually that's the way SmackDown starts every single week. And then Roman makes like a freaking 3-minute entrance. Like I said, I understand Roman's great, but you don't need to make a 3-minute entrance in the Thunderdome. There is no fans there. Why are you walking so slow? And it pisses me off so much because Roman takes forever to get down to the ring. He's great. He's fantastic, right? And I did read that Roman is getting new theme music, right? He's getting new theme music, which is years overdue. I have accepted, of course, that the Shield music is kind of his, right? But and his I'm not gonna lie, his theme music is kind of bumps. I like that. Like it's kind of hype, and and it kind of goes with his character. But it's good. I would be lying to say if I'm not hyped to see Roman get some new theme music, especially with this whole tribal chief thing. I definitely think Roman probably has a role in what his new theme music is going to be, because usually the WWE staff, they pick out the music for you. All right, but I think Roman definitely is going to have a hand in how his new theme music is crafted. Like Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins' music. When he changed his song, it took me a while to get used to it. It did, but it grew on me. Bailey's. It still bothers me a little bit every now and then, but Bailey's theme music is fine now, right? Who else can we talk? Keith Lee's. I miss Keith Lee's NXT theme song. It was one of the best in the company, but I've gotten used to his new theme song as well. His old theme song was definitely better, but I've gotten used to it. So, right, whenever I could definitely see Roman's new theme song probably debuting at the Rumble. That would definitely be a great place to debut it. Especially because you want to get people to, get used to it before WrestleMania, of course. But Roman, whenever he does get his new theme music, that's going to be something. But Roman came out, right, pissing me off with his slow-ass entrance when there's nobody in the damn Thunderdome. And Roman comes out, right, and Roman cut another really good promo. Real deal. Oh, Stewart says Carmella's theme. Hell no. Carmella's theme is terrible. I liked her old theme song better. I liked her old gimmick better. Carmella's new gimmick is absolutely awful, man. Woo. Terrible. NBA YouTube says John Cena made his theme song. Well, Cena has one of the best theme songs of all time. I grew up on that John Cena theme song. Woo! I love that, man. My time is now. You can't see me. My time is now. I love John Cena's theme song, man. Simon says Sasha has to win this year at WrestleMania 37. She's unfortunately going 0-6. Yeah, you said 6-0, but it's 0-6. But I see exactly what you're talking about. Better be 1-5 this year. Otherwise, this is a reverse Taker streak. Yes, I do agree with you that Sasha has to win at Mania. That's why I'm thinking that you should do Sasha versus Bayley at Mania. I at first, when Sasha first won the title, I was of the thinking you do Sasha versus Bianca, right? And still have Sasha successfully defend, but then, use that to have a rematch between Sasha and Bianca at SummerSlam. But now, especially what Bayley's doing right now, I feel like it's probably be Sasha versus Bayley one more time in a big time match, like an I Quit match, something like that at WrestleMania. And then you do Sasha versus Bianca at SummerSlam. But we'll talk about Sasha a little bit more later. But yeah, Roman comes out. Roman cut a really good promo here, right? Roman said that while Kevin Owens and Adam Pearce might have gotten one over on him, he is the champion because he doesn't believe in the mentality of cards subject to change, right? And then Roman said, "Wow, Adam Pearce, you haven't had a match in 6 years. But after one little attack, your leg is hurting." And we all know Adam Pearce's leg wasn't hurting. He clearly faked it, right? He faked it, so he wouldn't have to face Roman at the Rumble. Because we all know it doesn't matter how long Adam Pearce has been wrestling. He would have had no shot against Roman. Everyone knew that. But I love that Roman was like, "Wow, you're a coward, right? My knee hurts." Roman was like, "I've had bad knees since high school," because I know Roman played football, And Roman said, he was like, "My neck hurts, right? My hands hurt. My feet hurt." I love how Roman was saying it. He was like, "Yeah, my body hurts," right? And Roman said the only thing that ever stopped him from being in the ring, and I gotta agree with him, because Roman has been very consistent. The only times that Roman ever missed any time since, I think it was 2012, right? It was just crazy to think about. It's already been 9 years. 9 years since the Shield made their debut, almost. But Roman said that the only time he's ever missed is because he decided to put his health and safety first during a pandemic. So Roman kind of went off the script a little bit, because we all know Roman left the company because of COVID, right? He wanted to protect himself. And he came back when WWE had their protocols more under control, with the WWE Thunderdome. It's going to be interesting to see. Roman's going to perform at Mania, and there's going to be fans. So it's going to be interesting to see if anything happens with that. I don't know if the WWE superstars have to get vaccinated, right? Get the COVID vaccines. Because I'm willing to bet Vince could easily get the vaccine for everybody in that company if he wanted to, as expensive as they are. So I don't know. But Roman isn't lying. He has been very, very consistent. The only time he's ever missed was because of the pandemic and when he got He got busted for using illegal substances, right? Remember, he got that 30-day suspension back in like 2016, I believe. But Roman has said his back is hurting from carrying this company for years, right? I guess you could say Roman has carried the company, right? Him and Seth Rollins and AJ Styles. I would say those have been your three biggest male stars, right? Your three biggest male stars. They have been the big stars of the company for, let's say, the last half decade, the last 4 or 5 years, right? If you want to throw in the women, of course, you have your Sasha Banks. You can put any one of the 4 horsewomen outside of Charlotte, because I'm sorry, I can't stand Charlotte. All right, and I'll rant a little bit on Charlotte a little bit later on. But if you take Roman Reigns, Seth, AJ Styles, Sasha, Bayley, Becky, even Ronda when she was there, right? I would say those are the names that have carried WWE over the last 4 or 5 years since, John Cena went part-time. Because we all know John Cena was the clear, undisputed flag bearer for WWE for all those years, right? That he was on top. But, I love what Roman was saying here. Adam Pearce then came out and said things had gone too far and were getting out of control. Reigns said that the only thing that was out of control is Kevin Owens being in a title match, right? So like I said, this was really good stuff. I was really enjoying this segment here. Simon says, Simon, I said, I see all those names you're putting in the chat, but have a good night, Stewart. But Simon, I see you put a bunch of NXT names there. Based on what I've heard right now, I've heard that some of those names aren't going to be in the Rumble just because WWE or Vince wants to protect, right? He wants to protect the main roster from NXT because NXT has had numerous COVID cases, way more COVID cases than the main roster has had. So there's a chance that we may not see much NXT talent, if any NXT talent is in the Rumble at all. Right? It was the main reason why NXT wasn't involved in Survivor Series this year. So we'll see. But I would not be surprised if you don't see much NXT talent in the Rumble this year. Still, Reigns felt disrespected by what Adam Pearce was saying. And then, Reigns had Heyman ripping the Pearce, right? Because Heyman made a joke, and Pearce was like, I could take that disrespect from him, right? But he said, I'm not going to take that disrespect from you, Paul Heyman. And Roman was like, you can't let him disrespect you like that, because if he disrespects you, that's disrespecting me, because you work for me. You're the, you're the chief counsel of the tribal chief. Right? So I love that Roman put that there. So Heyman starts ripping in the Pearce. This was really good stuff. I forgot the line that Heyman specifically said. He said something like, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm from New York. And in New York, we beat your ass. So Heyman was, spitting fire on this. So all of a sudden, Heyman challenged Adam Pearce to a match. And Pearce quickly accepted the match. And I could easily see where this was going. Roman said, I feel like by the end of the night, you're going to get your ass kicked. Clearly, Roman was going to get payback on Pearce for what he did last week, right? Because we all know Heyman versus Pearce in a match, as much as I would love to see that, Pearce would probably beat the hell out of Heyman. So we all know that basically Heyman was going to wait to the last moment, fake an injury the same way Adam Pearce did, last week in the contract signing, and then have, either Roman Reigns or Jey Uso. One of those two would be the one to replace Heyman and then give Adam Pearce a ruthless beating. We all knew where this was going, and that did happen. So, pretty decent opening segment here. My only real complaint is we don't need Roman Reigns in the opening segment of SmackDown every single week, right? If it's like every 2-3 weeks, clearly okay. But we don't need Roman in the opening segment every week. You have names on there. If you wanted to open the show with the obstacle challenge, would have had no problem with that. If you wanted to open the show with Sasha versus Reginald, would have had no problem with that. You have other people that are just as good as Roman is doing, with their work right now. And, you could have just had Roman do that segment with Adam Pearce maybe at the 9 o'clock hour, right? A little bit later on the show. It just gets a little bit repetitive, right? You don't need Roman doing the same thing, same entrance, right? Same promo each and every single week. He's great at it. No one's saying that he's not. But we don't need that. We just don't need that. It's just repetitive WWE and lazy booking at the end of the day. So, yeah, that's what I think about that. Let me know what you guys think. Are you guys okay with Roman opening the show every single week? But this was a decent segment to open the show. All right, so I'm gonna rant a little bit. I'm gonna do a little mini rant here, right? So we had the Riot Squad versus Charlotte Flair and Asuka. I didn't even know this match was announced for tonight, but you guys know, anybody that's been listening to this podcast knows that I have been saying for months now that the Riot Squad should be the next tag team champions. All right, they're the only team that really, has chemistry. They weren't like a put together duo. They've been teaming together for years. And you guys know I'm a big fan of Liv Morgan. Ruby Riot's good as well, but I want to see Liv Morgan succeed. I feel like she's one of the most underrated superstars in the company right now. So, so Charlotte and Asuka show up. And right before this, I got to mention this. Sami Zayn, I think Sami Zayn was probably the MVP of SmackDown tonight. So Sami Zayn comes out right after the Roman Reigns segment. And he has his camera crew. He has a sign saying justice, #justice for Sammy. And then he has handcuffs. We all know Sammy has a history of handcuffs. Remember when he handcuffed both Styles to a ladder and Jeff Hardy to win the IC title at Clash of Champions last year? Well, instead, Sami Zayn handcuffed himself to a barricade at ringside in the Thunderdome. And basically he was peacefully protesting the, everything he's had to deal with, right? We come back for break. Sammy's like, okay, I guess I did grab the tights last week in my match against Apollo Crews. But Apollo did the same damn thing, and he actually got the victory, which led to Apollo versus Big E in their IC title match. And I also knew, even though I didn't mind it, I knew that, Sammy was most likely going to stay out there until the IC title match, which wasn't, until later into the second hour of SmackDown. So I love what they did with Sammy. It takes a lot of patience, right? It takes a lot of patience to sit there because he was, he handcuffed himself out there for an entire hour. So he had to watch everything that happened on the show, sit there through the commercials. So I got to give Sammy credit, man. I don't know how he could have that much patience and he was able to keep himself busy for an hour, while the show was going on. But Sammy definitely was probably the MVP of last night's show. So Sami Zayn, while he handcuffs himself, right, Riot Squad make their entrance and so do Charlotte Flair and Asuka. I don't know. I don't like this team. I still, I feel Charlotte just overshadows Asuka. And the thing about it is Asuka's the double champion of this team. We know that Asuka's the star. As disappointing as her Raw Women's Championship reign has been, I'm happy that it looks like they're kind of trying to build it back up, especially what they did with Alexa Bliss on Monday Night Raw, which if you guys didn't check out the Monday Night Raw podcast, go check it out right now. Check it out right after you guys listen to this, of course. We went in depth, talk about Alexa Bliss and Asuka and why, that should have happened months ago. But, Charlotte's been overshadowing Asuka. It's pretty easy. Even the Asuka and Charlotte fans have to admit that. It's sad because they continue to shove Charlotte down our throat. Right? When Sasha and Bayley were the tag team champions and they were on all three shows, we were captivated. We cared because we knew there was a huge storyline. Plus, they were putting in the best work out of anybody in the company at that time. Charlotte, she's on SmackDown. I'm just like, really? And it honestly pisses me off. Right? I was hoping that the Riot Squad were actually going to win this match because I've been saying for months that the Riot Squad should become the next tag team champions. But that's not what we got here. So basically, Liv Morgan made a blind tag. She hit a drop kick on Charlotte. And another thing that pisses me off about Charlotte is, she no sells. She's a bad seller, right? She's not good at selling people's offense. Charlotte's out here kicking out at one at every single move Liv Morgan has. I'm like, what? You're not even gonna let it go to 2 at least? You're kicking out at 1 like you're Drew McIntyre with with his adrenaline all the way up. I'm like, really? That's what we're doing? So this was really bothering me. I was not enjoying this at all. And what happened? So basically, you have Charlotte out here no selling Liv Morgan's offense, right? Because we got to make Charlotte look dominant. You know, we always have to make Charlotte look like the biggest star around. Then we come back from break. Ruby Riott now has the advantage, right? And Charlotte's still no selling all this offense. So then Asuka tags in and hits a running knee, but Riott was there to Riott's there to break up the pin. So then Riott had Asuka pinned for a 3 count, right? But because Billie Kay was on the apron distracting the referee, right? Even though she was trying to help the Riott Squad, it cost the Riott Squad a win for the second straight week. Remember Liv Morgan had Natalya beat last week, but Billie Kay distracted the team, and that was the same thing that happened tonight. Or last night on SmackDown. So basically, this allowed Asuka to recover, and she hit another knee on Ruby Riott, and then she tagged Charlotte in, and Charlotte hit the natural selection for the win. So of course, right now, the only team that I see that legitimately had a shot at beating the Charlotte and Asuka for the tag team champions, the team that should be the tag team champions, right? The Riott Squad. Now they've been, beaten by Charlotte and Asuka, and I don't see them getting another match anytime soon. It's disappointing. It's disappointing because I like the Riott Squad a lot. I don't know why where are we going with this? Are Charlotte and Asuka gonna hold those titles to WrestleMania? You guys look at the landscape, right? The women's tag team championship scene is not that strong. It's not that strong. You only have about maybe 3 or 4 teams. You have Natalya and Tamina, who I don't really care about them, right? I like the Riott Squad, but you had them lose clean last night. Then you have, Shayna and Nia, who you guys know I don't give a shit about. I hate those two. And you also have Lacey Evans and Peyton Royce, who I definitely don't care about. So I don't know why you didn't give those titles to the Riott Squad. Give them a big moment, but who's gonna be the ones to take those titles off of the Riott Squad? I mean, not the Riott Squad, Charlotte and Asuka. Who? Honestly, because outside of the Riott Squad, I don't care about any of the teams. I don't. So what? Are they just gonna have Charlotte and Asuka hold on to those titles until they want Charlotte to turn heel again, and just so then they can do a Charlotte and Asuka feud? Most likely going to WrestleMania. Is that what's gonna happen? This is the kind of nonsense I'm talking about, right? Why do we have to always shove Charlotte, have her beat everybody? Charlotte does not need a championship. I've said that how many times? Charlotte does not need a championship. But instead, you have her come back, and she's beating everybody. She's beating Lacey Evans. She's beating Peyton Royce, right? She's beating the Riott Squad. Take out all the competition. She pinned Bianca Belair a couple weeks ago. Like, what are we doing here? Why does Charlotte always have to look strong? This was the problem I had with Roman Reigns for so long. Until they turned him heel and they realized what they should have been doing with Roman all the time. It's disgusting. Charlotte is not that good. She's not. She's overrated as hell. I'm not saying Charlotte's not a star. But this constant thing that Charlotte always has to be booked strongly. Always has to be in a title picture. Right? Those tag team titles could be in such a much bigger position if you had them on the Riott Squad. Let them showcase their skills. Let them go down to NXT, face some teams down there. You have the what's it called? They're doing the Dusty Rhodes Classic right now. They're doing it for the first time with women. Imagine if you had the Riott Squad win those titles, had them go down to NXT and defend those titles against the winner at an NXT takeover, right? I know nobody in WWE is thinking about that. Or what? Are you gonna have Charlotte and Asuka be the ones to get that opportunity? Charlotte doesn't need it. We've seen Charlotte in NXT already. We don't want to see her back in it. The Riott Squad should be the ones taking those tag team titles and going down to NXT and facing the winners of the Dusty Rhodes Classic and building on the legacy of those tag titles that were started by Sasha and Bayley. Sasha and Bayley are the only two people who have done anything with those tag titles. Every time, any other team that has held them has, either done nothing with them or have brought the legacy of those titles down. I don't care how big a star Charlotte is. She should not be a tag team champion. She should not be in the title picture at all. And it pisses me off. It really does. I don't want to see Charlotte on SmackDown. I don't want to see her with a title. It's time for Charlotte to actually give back to the women's division. The same way Becky did for a couple years before she came to man. The same way Bayley did when she was a babyface. The same way Sasha has done for many, many years. All the time, we have to force Charlotte down our throats. It's crazy. I don't want to see Charlotte as a champion. I don't. And even the Charlotte fans need to admit it. They really do. All right? I'm really tired of it. Tokyo Rockstar says, is the NXT Women's Dusty Classic winner going to face the champions? I would guess that would be a side perk. I know you get a trophy and everything, but I feel like that would be a greater reward as well, right? With getting a tag team title shot on an NXT or an NXT takeover. That's what they should do if you ask me. Right? Oh my gosh, it pisses me off. I mean, and NBA YouTube says Asuka should have got that pin. Sure, if Asuka had gotten the pin, would I be less mad? Of course I would. But I don't want to see the titles on Asuka and Charlotte to begin with. Asuka should be focusing on the Raw Women's Championship. Charlotte should not even be in the title picture. Neither of those two need the tag team titles right now. They don't. They still don't even really make sense to me as a team. It's just such a random pairing. Right? Like, come on. I'm sorry. I know after the match we came back from break, the Riot Squad, they were talking to Billie Kay, and basically Billie Kay apologized for what happened, right? And you can see Liv Morgan on, the look on her face. She didn't want, to be mean, but it was like she knew that Billie Kay's is not a fit in the Riot Squad. Ruby, of course, was like, I'm not going to mess around. I'm just going to get right to it. You're not getting it, right? Yeah, she was like, you're not getting it. The Riot Squad was always better when it was just the two of us. And even though Billie Kay said that she was able to get Ruby and Liv into the Women's Royal Rumble, right? It looks like it could be the end of Billie Kay in the Riot Squad. So I don't know if that's the case, right? Not that I really care, but I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of cool, I guess. It was something for Billie Kay to do. It was better than what she usually does. So I don't know if this storyline is gonna continue. Maybe Billie Kay helps, the Riot Squad, get another shot at the tag team champions, right? Or maybe she helps them eliminate a couple people in the Rumble. So, but we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, but you guys know I like the Riot Squad. I love Liv Morgan. I want to see her, succeed more. I really do. The Riot Squad should be the tag team champions right now. I don't care what anybody says. I don't. I'm tired of the constant Charlotte, friggin' let's bury everybody else for her. All right, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Moving on, we had Daniel Bryan come out, right? Daniel Bryan had a funny interaction with Sami Zayn, who was, like I said, was at ringside. Daniel Bryan came out to talk about how the Royal Rumble event always makes him feel excited. He talked about how he's done so much in his career, but he's never won a Royal Rumble. I have been on the record saying that Daniel Bryan should be the favorite to win the Royal Rumble. You can also make arguments, of course, for people like Big E or, like a Keith Lee maybe, or even an Edge, right? I would not be against us getting Edge versus Drew McIntyre. I'm going to say this right now. If you want to keep the Fiend and Randy Orton storyline going to WrestleMania, right, and you feel like you could do like a big payoff at Mania, like something big, something like we've never seen before, right? Maybe you bring back the Firefly Funhouse match, at Mania, especially since we know it's going to be 2 nights. I would not be against that. I would actually love to see Randy Orton versus The Fiend in the Firefly Funhouse match. If they were planning to do the same thing, like the same thing they did with John Cena versus The Fiend from last year, right? And you want to do Drew McIntyre versus Edge at WrestleMania, I would love to see that. Love to see Edge, especially 10 years, right? 10 years since the last time he was world champion. Back at, what was it? WrestleMania 27, I believe. Yeah, WrestleMania 27 in Atlanta. I feel like that they could really make a great story out of that. Even though it's most likely going to be Orton versus Edge again, but, I'm just throwing something on the table. But you know, I'm just talking about potential winners, of course, but I think we also agree Daniel Bryan is the favorite. Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns is the match you should do. Not Goldberg, right? Not Big E, you know, not even Seth Rollins. I'm sorry. The match you should be doing is Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns. Especially if you're gonna have a crowd at Mania, it's really that simple. I read that WWE's planning to have right now at least 25,000 at Mania, which is a lot of people. I know that stadium's capable of holding about 80,000 people, but we know that's not gonna be. There's no way that's happening, of course, with COVID. It's not gonna happen. But if you think about it, a normal Raw arena, right, or normal Raw or SmackDown that holds about 10,000 people. Right, so 25,000 people. That's a really good amount. I feel like they might even get higher than that. It's still early. We still got about 3 more months till Mania, right? Or not 3 more, 2.5. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I feel like it's clear that Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns is the way to go. Now, and he should be the favorite, and he should win that match. I'll be disappointed if it's anybody but Daniel Bryan, but. As he kept talking about how excited he was for the Rumble, Cesaro interrupted. And if you guys saw last week, Cesaro and Daniel Bryan had a amazing TV match, a really great match last week, right? And he came out to rub it in how he beat Bryan last week. Bryan said that, I've been thinking about that loss all week. And if you're down, even though I'm not in my normal ring gear, we can have a fight right here, right now. And Cesaro said no. Right, Cesaro said, I beat you last week. I'm tired of proving my point. But Cesaro issued an open challenge to anybody in the back. And Dolph Ziggler was the one who answered the call, right? And as much as I hate on Dolph Ziggler, we all know how good Dolph Ziggler is in the ring. He could put on a 5-star classic with nearly anybody. And, Cesaro, that's a walk in the park for those two. Cesaro versus Dolph Ziggler, they've had great matches in the past. But Ziggler was acting more like a tweener here. He wasn't acting fully heel. And remember, him and Bobby Roode just won the SmackDown Tag Team titles a couple of weeks ago. The match had already started when we came back from break, right? So this was heel versus heel, but they were wrestling more like it was babyface versus babyface. So we see they're doing holds and reversals, right? Nothing too special, but the pace picking up. We saw Cesaro nail an uppercut in the corner, swung Ziggler around by his feet. They went back with near fall after near fall. Ziggler hit a zigzag for a 2 count. Cesaro caught him and hit the neutralizer for the win. So Cesaro, man, he is on a streak right now. Honestly, right? I think if you want, I've been saying the person that I would have take the IC title from Big E, if I could have it my way, I would build up Aleister Black to do that for Mania. But if Aleister Black doesn't come back, I would have no problem with Cesaro challenging Big E going to Mania. I feel like that would be a great feud, right? Cesaro has never really gotten that big moment. He's been a mid-card champion in the past, but maybe this would be a good start of getting Cesaro where he needs to be. I definitely think Cesaro should be a singles champion. He has all the skills to be in the world championship scene. I just don't know if WWE's ever going to put him in there. But I would have no problem with him, going up against Big E, going for the IC title at Mania. I know Big E right now, he's still feuding with both Sami Zayn and Apollo, but I would have no problem with them putting Cesaro in there. I feel like that would be good stuff. And if you want, if Cesaro was to win that title, right, you could do a feud in the summer with Nakamura and Cesaro. Or, because Nakamura is a babyface, Cesaro's clearly still a heel, right? So you can maybe have them officially break up as a team. And then, I would have no problem with that. I would have no problem with that going into WrestleMania. So, or not WrestleMania, but into the summer. So I'm just throwing out some options there. I'm just saying right now, SmackDown has so much talent for a really good mid-card scene, and stuff like this helps build it up. This, some of you guys may look at this like, oh, Cesaro versus Dolph Ziggler, good match, but where does it go? Cesaro has a lot of momentum right now. This is how you build up your mid-card division. WWE has so much talent in that mid-card division. You got Ziggler, you got Roode, you got, Cesaro, Nakamura, and these are all names, and Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Big E. And the thing about it is, these are all names that not only can be in the mid card division, but you can put some of these superstars also in the main event scene, right? So like there's places for all these superstars to be. So I don't have any problem with this Cesaro push right now. I hope it continues because I love what they're doing with him, and it's long overdue for Cesaro to be getting these big victories. But this was a good match, right? Cesaro got the win. Who knows? Maybe they have Cesaro and Nakamura challenge Rude and Ziggler for the tag team titles going to the line. That's another option. So like I said, there's a lot that they could put on the table right now. A lot that's on the table. So if anybody from WWE is listening to me, of course, right, I'm giving you a lot to think about, a lot to ponder. So, yeah, I will mention the Street Profits real quick. They were on the show tonight. They had a fruit basket for Sonya Deville, who we know right now she's the assistant, right, to Adam Pearce. I don't know. Right now they have Sonya acting like a babyface assistant. Like I said, I think Sonya's going to turn heel here or go back to heel eventually, right? I would love to see a Sonya versus Sasha Banks feud. Maybe as a side feud going into the summer months, right? Or if you want, right? If you don't want Sasha defending in the Elimination Chamber, you can do a one-off with Sasha and Sonya at the Chamber. So, yeah. So, this was, the Street Profits were asking Sonya, when can they get their tag team championship rematch? And Sonya said, you guys are definitely in line for a rematch, right? You guys held the tag team titles, for 300 days, right? But Montez isn't at 100%. So they're like, have Montez wait for his leg to get healed. Let some other teams get a couple, more of an opportunity. And then when you guys are back to being 100%, we'll get you guys back in the title picture. So I don't know if this is a way for them to say, oh, we're taking a break from the Street Profits, right? I still want my Street Profits Usos feud, and I will keep saying it. I don't know what's going on with Jimmy Uso right now. He was supposed to return in early January, but I guess he's still not 100%. Maybe, I don't know, but maybe that had something to do with Jey Uso not being on the show. I'm not sure, of course, but I definitely think if the Usos are healthy for Mania, the Usos versus the Street Profits is the match you should be doing for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. If you want, you can make that a ladder match, right? Battle of the splashes, right? But definitely I would love to see an Usos Street Profits feud for the SmackDown Tag Team titles, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I still don't really agree with the Street Profits losing the tag team titles to Rude and Ziggler, especially since Rude and Ziggler haven't done anything with those titles in their first couple weeks of their reign. But definitely, you never know. You never know. We'll just have to be patient and see if this leads to something bigger in the long run. So I just had to mention that really quick. Moving on, we had Sasha Banks versus Reginald, right? So we all know this match was set up last week. Sasha told Carmella, right, you can get your title opportunity, because remember they had Carmella pin Sasha in tag team action a couple of weeks ago. Sasha told Carmella, you can get your title match. But Sasha then said, if I can get you in a match first, speaking directly to Reginald, and that was the match we got tonight. Like I said, I always say this, Sasha is the best female wrestler in the world for a reason. For a reason. I say this all the time. She could have a 5-star match with a paper bag. It doesn't matter. Let's take what we saw tonight with that match with Reginald. That match with Reginald, it wasn't long. It was about maybe less than 5 minutes. It was very action-packed, and the pace was quick, right? Reginald using his gymnastic or whatever abilities he had, his flexible abilities to dodge and, counter out of most of Sasha's moves, right? And clearly you could tell that Sasha worked with Reginald earlier in the day. She probably came in early and worked with Reginald to try to choreograph how that match was going to go, And he did a great job. It's true. I know Reginald's an NXT talent, and he'll never be on the level of Sasha Banks. We all know this, right? But it takes a special talent to be able to have a good match with someone like Reginald. To have a good intergender match as well. We don't see intergender matches in WWE these days. We don't, right? It's only in the last couple of years when we had like James Ellsworth, right? I didn't like James Ellsworth have a match with like Becky Lynch or Asuka. It was one of those two, you know. So, it's rare to see these types of matches in WWE these days, but. You know, it takes a really good talent to make an intergender match that good. I was looking at people talking about the match on social media, and, you know, people were really high on it. It wasn't an out-of-this-world match. It wasn't anything super special, but it was pretty good for an intergender match. Intergender matches are usually recipes for disaster. It takes someone as great as Sasha Banks to make an intergender match that good, right? Kevin, yes, I see exactly what Kevin just said in the chat. JD was complaining about the match. I know. And look, JD, there's times where I like JD, there's times where I can't stand JD, right? I did not enjoy what JD was saying. And you know what? Why don't we listen to, since we're live, why don't we listen to what JD said? Does anybody have the timestamp for what JD said about that match last night? Let me see if I can find it. Because I'll play it live for you guys.
It's not that easy, but Grammarly can help. This sentence is grammatically correct.
At the show. Now, I mentioned Goldberg and Randy Orton.
Quality writing makes...
This is going to be tough, man, because JD puts like, JD puts like 1,000 ads on his videos.
Who's to say Edge says that she got them entered into the Women's Royal Rumble match. I mean, the biggest geeks possible on social media come at me and belittle me because I didn't like poor Reginald.
All right, I found it. Yep. Let me go back a little bit.
Jesse is texting me, what's wrong with you? The Rumble winner always gets to choose. I didn't remember that. Unless I'm thinking of Money in the Bank.
All right, JD, okay, he's acting dumb. Everybody knows that the Royal Rumble winner always gets to choose which champion they face. One of my favorite things, right? One of my favorite moments during the attitude, or not the attitude, the ruthless aggression era. Batista, right? Batista deciding to go up against either the WWE champion or the World Heavyweight champion. I believe at the time, what was it, 2005, right? JBL was the WWE champion on Raw. Triple H was the champion on SmackDown. Batista, right? The thumbs up, thumbs down, right? Batista doing the Batista bomb, putting Triple H through the announce table, basically turning babyface, saying that he was going to take the World Heavyweight Championship from Triple H at that WrestleMania. So, like I said, the Royal Rumble winner always gets to pick who they're going to face at Mania. So don't act dumb, JD. All right, but yeah, we'll see what he said about Reginald.
I always thought that the Royal Rumble winner was always strictly the one guy.
I'm going to skip this.
I don't know why everybody's making a big deal about that. I don't remember that being a deal. Sasha Banks.
Yeah, let's see what JD says. I'll say this about JD. He's the one that didn't motivate me to start this podcast, what was it, 2-3 years ago, right? But I don't always agree with the guy. I don't even have time to go listen to his live streams these days. I'm able to just go pick my way through the live stream. I listen to the parts I want to listen to, and then the parts I don't want to listen to, I skip. Because his live streams are way too long. He spends half the time going through super chats and talking about, other stuff. Like, I miss the old JD that would have an hour of review and that's it. I don't have time to listen to a 2.5 hour live stream.
Sasha Banks.
But let's see what he said about Sasha.
And Reginald.
I'm very intrigued to say
Carmella. It. Folks, this was an intergender match. Reportedly an intergender match. And I did not like what I saw here. I did not.
Come on.
I thought this was nothing more than WWE trying to really overcompensate for something that they had no business booking in the first place. I had geeks, and I mean the biggest geeks possible, on social media come at me and belittle me because I didn't like poor Reginald and what he did in this match against Sasha Banks. I had Aleister Black stan accounts, I had Asuka Saka accounts, I had Carmella fucking stan accounts. How could you? What's wrong with you? This is why you're trash. This is why your opinion will never mean anything.
You guys can hear, right?
Reginald. This is why my opinion is trash, because I didn't enjoy Reginald on SmackDown. Because I thought it was all flips and arm drags and fucking gymnastics. Yet these are the same people that criticize the Young Bucks and mostly everything that happens on Dynamite for being too flippy and too gymnastic-like. So who the fuck are you trying to get one over on, bro? Shut your mouth when the fucking king of this community is talking.
What?
Fucking clowns of this community over on, bro.
Wait, what?
Shut your mouth when the fucking king of this community is
Wait,
talking.
what? The king? I understand, JD, you got your, what, how many subscribers you have now? 120,000. Congratulations, bro. You ain't no king. All right, you ain't no king. I understand. You get, your 30,000 views per, review, right? I'm over here lucky if I get 1,000, but no, you're not the king. People watch you because you're entertaining and you know your stuff. That doesn't make you a king. People watch me because I'm entertaining and I know my stuff and I educate people here every single week, just like you do. Doesn't make you no king, all right? I think there was a lot more people that would say that the Sasha versus Reginald match was great. All right, it wasn't, the best thing on TV all year, but it was a lot better than most of the stuff we see on WWE TV, especially Monday Night Raw. And that was, as good as an intergender match is going to be in WWE. This isn't Lucha Underground or Impact Wrestling with Tessa Blanchard, right, going for the Impact World title. It's nothing like that. We know that there's limits here, but for an intergender match by WWE standards, that was pretty damn good. Let's keep listening. You guys are lucky we're live. If we weren't live, I would not be doing this. This is special. We're only taking this much time for this because we're live tonight.
Fucking clowns. The match sucked.
No, it didn't. You're a clown.
Plain and simple. I'm supposed to be praising Reginald for flips and dives and fucking not getting a single goddamn fucking punch on Sasha Banks. Let me tell you something, guys. If you want to book an intergender match,
here he goes.
Then book a fucking intergender match. If you are not fully capable of giving me an intergender match, then do not give me an intergender match. Simple. Now, I know WWE's never going to put a man in there to punch a female, let alone Sasha Banks, but why did the match happen anyway? WWE booked this match for the simple reason of they are out of ideas for Sasha Banks right now going into the Royal Rumble. Don't you think the woman deserves better than fucking Carmella?
Okay. I will agree with JD from this perspective, right? I don't really think we needed Sasha versus Carmella going into the Rumble. We didn't. I feel like you could have done a lot better. Do Sasha versus Liv Morgan or Sasha versus, Ruby Riott, something fresh, right? Or, Rhea Ripley, or I don't believe I'm saying this, but Natalya. I agree with them. Sasha deserves much better, something much bigger going to WrestleMania season. The women's division right now is not that good. SmackDown's women's division is okay, but of course, Becky's still out. Ronda hasn't come back yet. Bianca, you got to save that match. That's a WrestleMania or SummerSlam match. Same thing with Bayley, because we still want another Bayley match for Sasha. So I understand that. I understand that, but this is what we have right now. And Sasha's, one of the only people in that company that can elevate Carmella and make that feud actually watchable. Because look if anybody else was the women's champion right now, right? If Asuka, remember, we've seen Asuka versus Carmella, or if Charlotte was the women's champion, or even Bayley was the women's champion, do you think one of those three women would be able to bring Carmella to that good a feud? No. Maybe a match, yeah, maybe a decent match, but not the feud. The Sasha vs. Carmella feud has actually been pretty decent. The mic work has been good, the in-ring work has been good, and Sasha has done everything to make Carmella a bigger star coming out of this, right? And I agree, Sasha versus Carmella going to Rumble is not the best thing for Sasha. It's not. Sasha deserves something much better, much better. And it shows why WWE needs to do better booking their women's division. Because when you have top stars like Sasha and Asuka as your women's champion and you're struggling to find opponents for them, that's your fault for burying everybody and not building them up. If Zelina Vega was still with SmackDown and she never lost her job, I would love to see Sasha versus Zelina Vega at the Rumble. I would love to see that, right? If Naomi was healthy right now and Naomi was on SmackDown, I would love to see Sasha versus Naomi. That's a feud I've been wanting to see for years. But this is what we have right now. And we know going to WrestleMania, Sasha's going to get a big-time match. No matter if it's against Rhea Ripley or Bayley or Bianca Belair, because we know those are the top three options for Sasha right now. But we just got to be patient. At the end of the day. The original match did not suck. It didn't suck. Was it the best thing you ever seen? Was it the best intergender match you ever seen? No. But in terms of WWE and its quality, that's the best you're going to probably get out of an intergender match. Let's be honest. Who else in the women's division? Be honest with yourself. Who else in the women's division? I love Bayley. I love Asuka. I love Bianca Belair. Love those three. And I love Liv Morgan. But, who else in the women's division can honestly make an intergender match that good? For the 5 minutes that it was. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Man. Come on. Carmella isn't great at all. I would love to see Sasha have a bigger match going to the Royal Rumble, but this is what we got. And we know Sasha's not losing the title at the Rumble. We know that.
And Reginald, this is a woman that carried the fucking company on her back. And then they have nobody for her and her title defenses but Carmella.
I agree with JD here.
Then we got to get Reginald to get another match with Carmella. Don't you think the woman deserves better than that?
I agree.
Honestly. You're not supposed to sit here and praise Reginald.
If he had started with this,
his arm
then
drags and his flippy moves to evade Sasha's offense. Give me a fucking break. Now, I'm not a fan of intergender wrestling to begin with. I think it's very, very unrealistic. I really do. But that doesn't mean I don't appreciate it.
Well, it's kind of true because the men hit harder than the women. But
a living and won accolades and championships via intergender wrestling. Go back and watch Tessa Blanchard and Sami Callihan and tell me what they did was not great. Was it believable? I don't give a fuck. We watch pro wrestling. We got fucking magic and fire and lightning and all this other bullshit happening. I don't give a fuck what you think is believable or not. I just don't like it. I don't like it. If Randy Orton could take a fucking fireball from a 5-foot Alexa Bliss, who thinks she's fucking Harry Potter from Hogwarts, then I don't give a fuck what you think is believable or not. I'm just not a fan of it. But if done right, it could be very entertaining and very good. But what I seen tonight was not good.
I disagree there.
If you want to book an intergender match, then book a fucking intergender match. Don't fucking put it on paper and say, hey, man, we're all for equality here. Give me a fucking break with this shit.
I disagree with what he's saying now, but I could see his point more.
Shit, really. The match was fucking ridiculous.
No, it wasn't. I disagree with you.
So Reginald, he was in this thing. Sasha threw him towards the flip.
Let me skip.
Nice-looking Meteora.
Oh, yeah. That Meteora was great.
Sasha gave Reginald another Meteora, and Reginald loses in 4 minutes. They booked an intergender match thinking that they could get away with calling it an intergender match, and it was nothing more than a fucking comedy act.
Yeah, not real.
I gotta give Sasha credit. She tried. I gotta give Sasha and whoever produced this match credit because they tried. And they came up with something that really was just unrealistic, but it wasn't good. I think everybody looks like a fucking fool. I think Reginald looks like a fool. Sasha doesn't look good either, and she doesn't deserve this shit. It's my fucking problem.
Okay, now I'm back to disagreeing with you. All right, how did Sasha won the match? The only Reginald was basically using the flips and his flexibility to dodge Sasha's offense, right? You know, and like legit, if Sasha went up against a male superstar like a Tyson Kidd, right, or give me like a cruiserweight like Akira Tozawa, that's exactly how the match would be. Akira Tozawa would use his flexibility and his masculinity to dodge most of Sasha's offense. Sasha did her best, and it was actually pretty entertaining if you ask me. Was it the best match ever? Of course not. Yes, there's been better intergender matches. We all know this. But for WWE standards, I'm going to give it a pass. I'm going to say it passed. It did its job. I don't want Sasha versus coming out the Rumble. I agree with JD there. But I don't agree with what he's saying that the match was a total shit show. I don't agree with what he's saying. I don't agree with what he's saying that it made Sasha look bad at the end of the day. It didn't. It didn't do anything to Sasha. Right? It doesn't. And Sasha got to win. It's that simple. It's that simple. But, yeah. But, anyway, yeah. That's my thoughts on that. Anyway, I mean, let's see.
Moving on. Heyman.
Okay. All right, I can close this now. Woo! All right, closed. Anyway, so basically, like I said, you know, the only reason why we listened to that is because we're live tonight. But the match wasn't that bad. It wasn't. It wasn't the best thing on the show. Probably not. But I enjoyed it for what it was. Mainly because I'm a huge Sasha Banks fan. But to see how Sasha, did her best to maneuver somebody that flexible, right? I gotta give it credit. I would give it a B-, which is good. So basically at the start of the match, Reginald tries to win Sasha over. And the thing, I gotta say this, that's a little comedy. I wish I was in Reginald's position. I would love to wrestle Sasha Banks. Like, come on. Woo. Like, you saw the end of that match where, they did I forgot what spot it was, but Sasha's holding Reginald's hand. And then it was and then Sasha Reginald lifts Sasha up and it turns into a Meteora spot. I love that. Sasha's Meteoras in this match, the two that she did on Reginald, were fantastic. I wish that was me. She can hit me with a Meteora any day of the week. She can put me in the bank statement any day of the week. But just a little bit of comedy there. But you guys get what I'm trying to say. But anyway, Reginald tries to win Sasha over the Rose at the start of the match, right? Sasha takes the rose and she's looking at it. She's like, All right. But then Reginald's like, and Reginald's speaking French. Reginald's like, would you like to give me a nice little kiss on the cheek? And Sasha's like, oh, okay, here we go. And Sasha smacked the crap out of Reginald. Like, damn, Sasha tried to take Reginald down with, I think it was an arm drag. But Reginald flipped up to his feet. He grabbed Sasha by the waist, but she reversed it. He rolled right out of the ring. He blackfoot off the apron just to show off. Sasha made him pay with a baseball slide dropkick. Sasha took him down with a wheelbarrow bulldog, but missed the Meteora in the corner. Reginald ate a huge knee to the face, but caught her in a cross body. She sent him out of the ring with an arm drag, took him down with a Meteora on the apron. Now, I love how Sasha, after she did this Meteora, she looked right at Carmella, saying yeah, bitch, I'm that damn good. Let's see how you would do in an intergender match. And Corey Graves was being cringy on commentary because Carmella was sitting next to her, or next to him, right, drinking champagne. I was like, Corey, act a little professional, come on. And Sasha eventually, after they did I don't know what's that spot, the part where they were holding hands or whatever, right? Sasha was eventually able to put Reginald in the bank statement for the submission victory, right? So, I know some people said maybe the match should have been pre-taped, maybe, but this was better than people expected it was gonna be. At the end of the day, did this match need to happen? No, but would you guys have wanted to see Sasha off TV for another week, not being used? Hell no. She's your women's champion. She's been carrying SmackDown on her back with Roman Reigns. So, like I said, Sasha, Sasha just proves that she's the best female wrestler in the world once again. Because how many people in that company could do what Sasha did with Reginald last night? Not many. But still, this was decent for what it was. So I'm going to give them credit. But yeah, she got the win. We're getting Sasha versus Carmella at the Rumble. She should win. I'm pretty confident that she will win. I don't know why people want to see Carmella going to WrestleMania SmackDown Women's J, but get out of here. Sasha's done everything to elevate Carmella with this feud, and I'm pretty much ready for it to end, if we're being honest. But yeah, I do agree with you, JD. Yes, Reginald did botch some of Sasha's move. Right? And that's not on Sasha, that's on Reginald. Like I said, the match wasn't perfect, but it was better than what I expected. And I don't think there's anybody else in the company that could have made the intergender match that good. Nobody else. So, anyway, we had Big E versus Apollo Crews for the IC title, right? This has been, an ongoing feud. Apollo hasn't fully turned heel, so I don't know what they're trying to do here. I really don't, because you have Apollo like slapping Big E last week or a couple weeks ago, right? And then, you have him the next week, he's in Roman Reigns' locker room. Then he's, winning by pulling Sami Zayn's tights. So he's doing heel antics, right? Plus, when you're talking to the biggest heel in the company in Roman Reigns, like you're thinking, all right, is this guy turning heel? But that's not what we got here. So basically, as soon as the bell rang, Big E hit a huge belly-to-belly suplex, followed by a splash on the apron. This was very fast-paced. Crews fired back with a couple of kicks that rocked the champ. He got a quick 2 count with a standing moonsault, and stayed on Big E with some more German suplexes. Big E prevented a third German suplex, and then he hit a big Ungari slam for another near fall. Crews fought him off in the corner with some headbutts. Like I said earlier, I knew that Sami Zayn was on protest. And I got to mention, when Sasha made her entrance tonight, all right, first off, Sasha came out with those 8K cameras, those new cameras they've been using on Fox. Woo! Whoa, man, she looks good with those 8K cameras. And then, we saw Sasha was actually, she had a quick interaction with Sami Zayn, and Sasha did like her evil laugh. That thing was hilarious. But we all knew that Sami Zayn, he was going to keep up the protest of the IC title match, right? I knew that was going to happen, and that's exactly what did happen. So Sami Zayn handcuffed himself, or he unhandcuffed himself, right? And then he ran to the ring to hit both men with haluva kicks to cause a no DQ finish. So clearly this is probably heading towards a triple threat, right? I don't know if it's going to be at the Rumble, And right now we have the two women, we have the men's and the women's Royal Rumble match. We also have the, what is it called? We have Sasha versus Carmella. We also have Drew McIntyre versus Goldberg. We also have Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens. So, I don't think if they're gonna put in their match, it's gonna be short because clearly most of the pay-per-view is gonna be the Rumble matches plus those 3 other matches. So I don't know. This is gonna be on the Rumble. Maybe it's on the Royal Rumble pre-show. Maybe, but this is clearly heading towards a triple threat. I don't see Big E losing the title, but I wouldn't be surprised either. But we'll just have to wait and see where they go with this. All right. But yeah, like I said, good character work from Sami Zayn, right? Makes him look like a bigger star at the end of the day using that strategy. Sami's like, all right, if I'm going to get screwed out of, the IC title match because Apollo rolled up my tights last week, I'm going to keep you from winning the IC title. So clearly a triple threat is, like I said, I'm more confused because where are we going with Apollo Crews? You keep teasing that he's going to turn heel, and then you just have him go back to doing his same old, boring, generic babyface stick with the flips and everything. So I would like a little bit of stuff on that, but hey, it is what it is. All right. Next up, I enjoyed this a lot. Like I said, when creativity works, right? This was great. So we had the Bayley versus Bianca Belair obstacle course challenge. If this was on Monday Night Raw, this would probably be a failure. But, I loved what they did here tonight with this. So basically, the obstacle course challenge, I thought it was going to take place like another part of the arena. They actually set up the Thunderdome pretty well. So basically they had like a tire, they had like hurdles, they had a climbing wall, they had a fireman's carry strength test, and last but not least, they had a basketball hoop. So this was really good. So basically, Michael Cole was supposed to host, and he introduced both Bianca and Bayley. But then Bayley said, "Oh no, this is my show, so you can go back to the announcing desk, Michael Cole." So Bayley gave us a rundown of the obstacles before they took the course, and then Bayley, it looked like Bianca was gonna go first, but Bayley said, "Nah, I'm gonna go first." So Bayley took off for Jack, and then they got started. So basically, Bayley took her time, right? Bayley took her time getting through each obstacle. She wasn't really trying to rush. And Bayley ended up, she did the tire. The tire took her a little bit longer. And then she ran down to the ring. She skipped the hurdles entirely. All right. Or not the tire. No, not the tires. Or not the hurdles. I'm confusing myself a little bit. All right, let me start from the beginning. So Bayley here, right? Bayley, it took her a while to lift up the tire. Right, took her a while to pick up the tire. The tire was, 400 pounds. So it definitely takes, a lot of strength to get through something like that. So Bayley, she picks up the tire. Took her a little bit of time. She walked down the ring. She wasn't really running, right? She wasn't really rushing through this thing. She did the hurdles, but she had smaller ones, than Bianca did. And then after the hurdles, she had the what was that? The climbing towers. With each tower is a little bit higher, but she wasn't confident in herself, so she just skipped it entirely. So then she picked up Chad Gable in the fireman's carry and did that, and then she took the basketball, missed the layup, right? And so Bayley said she was the captain of her basketball team. I don't know if that's true or not, but she missed the layup, got the rebound, and then made the layup on the second time, right? So before Bianca took her turn, Bayley had some of the obstacles made more difficult, right? Instead of those smaller things that Bayley had to hop through, she put actual hurdles. Bianca, she was an All-American track star, so that was easy for her. Plus, instead, and this was maybe my favorite part, instead of having to put Chad Gable in the fireman's carry, Bianca had to do it with Otis, which was wild, right? So Bianca took off her jacket. She was in an actual tracksuit, right? So basically, like she was back in high school doing track, and she tied up her hair. And she flew through the course. Like, she picked up the tire like it was nothing. The tire that Bayley struggled with, right? She did the hurdles like it was nothing. She did the climbing wall pretty good. She blew through Bayley's time. And, like I said, her pickup Otis spot was the most impressive. And then instead of taking the basketball and just going to the layup, she asked Bayley, like, Bayley, you guard me here. So Bianca does a nice little crossover, breaks Bayley's ankles, and then does a slam dunk instead of a layup. So Bianca, with all the obstacles Bayley put in front of her, Bayley still shattered Bayley's time. And remember, Bayley cheated too. So, they did a really good job of Bayley doing her heel antics here, and Bianca, persevering, showing her courage, even though her course was harder. I really enjoyed what they did with this. Plus, right after it, Bayley attacked Bianca and beat her down before throwing her into the pole of the basketball hoop, and that's how the segment ended. So maybe next week we get a rematch, right? Remember, Bianca's been wanting another match with Bayley since Bayley did beat her, I believe it was the last SmackDown before TLC. So they could do that match next week. But I'm going to say this is what you should probably do. And JD was thinking the same thing as me. I just didn't tweet it out. You look at the Women's Royal Rumble, right? There's really, in my opinion, 3 favorites. Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, or Bayley. If Rhea Ripley wins, she could go up against either Sasha, or she can go after Charlotte or Asuka, whoever's the Raw Women's Champion. But whoever wins between Bayley and Bianca is clearly going to be the one to face Sasha at WrestleMania if one of those two win. I think what you should do is you should have Bayley and Bianca start off 1 and 2 in the Women's Royal Rumble. Remember how impressive a showing Bianca had in the Rumble last year. I believe Charlotte was the one who eliminated Bianca. But I would have Bayley and Bianca start off the Rumble 1 and 2 and then end up being the final 2 in the ring. Because like I said, this should be one of those 3. Those 3 are right now the favorites to win the Rumble, right? And, you know, they should be the final 2. And then maybe you have Bayley win. You could have Bianca win, right? I'm leaning towards us getting Bayley versus Sasha versus Mania. And I'm going to do a video on this eventually. It's all good. I'm probably going to wait till right after the Rumble to make that video. Because I want to see because if Bianca wins, then I know I got to make the video right away. If Bayley wins, then, you know, I'll make the video, but we won't have to. So the video is going to be why Sasha versus Bianca can't happen at Mania, right? I was for it before, but right now, you know, now that I think about it, it can't happen because Sasha has to win at WrestleMania. She has to. There's no end if, no, she has to win. She cannot go 0-6. She can't. Excuse me. So, that's what I would do. I would have Bayley and Bianca Belair start off 1 and 2 in the Women's Royal Rumble and actually be the final 2 at the end of the day. Let me look at the chat real quick. NBA YouTube says turn Apollo heel. He could look like a brick. All right. But like I said, yeah, that's what I would do. That's what I would do, right? Bayley Bianca have been really good in this like mini feud. Remember, this is a mini feud that's been going on now for about 2 months. About 2 months since Survivor Series, these two have been feuding. And WWE's done a really good job. So, you know, I would definitely have this, you know, play a big role in who wins the Royal Rumble. You know, right now, I'm leaning towards Bayley as the favorite to win the Royal Rumble. But like I said, at the end of the day, who knows? Who knows? And if Bayley does win the Royal Rumble, that would leave Sasha is the only one of the 4 horsewomen that not win a Rumble, right? Charlotte won last year. Becky won the year before. And remember, Asuka won the year before that. So, definitely. So, you know, maybe WWE wants to have each one of the 4 horsewomen win a Rumble. But, yeah, that's the way I see it. I would have probably Bayley win the Royal Rumble and have Bianca Belair come out as 1 and 2 and make it all the way to the end. That would be great. That would be great. Right, but I really enjoyed this segment. This is when good creative works, in my opinion. Next up, we had King Corbin versus Dominic Mysterio, right? This was set up last week, right? So, what was it? Dominic wanted to get payback on Baron Corbin after, Corbin defeated Rey Mysterio in a match last week. And remember, Corbin had that cheap shot on Dominic during the match, right? Rey was concerned that, Dominic wasn't doing this the right way, but Dominic was like, it's going to be okay, man. I'm confident in my ring abilities, and I'm going to get the job done. But Rey said, if you lose, then we're going to do it my way. And Dominic was like, okay, but I don't think it's going to come to that. So, if you guys notice, once again, Corbin's Knights, right? A.K.A. the Forgotten Sons, Blake and Cutter, they were not there. They weren't there last week. They weren't there this week. So, I don't know what's happening with that. I don't know, they're just... Maybe something happened with COVID, or if they're not being used. Maybe it could potentially be WWE doesn't want the Forgotten Sons on television, especially what's going on politically in the world right now. But the thing about it is Jason Riker, right? He's the main reason why the Forgotten Sons were disbanded. He's been on Raw the last couple of weeks. He's with Elias, of course. So I don't know. It's not that I care or anything, but it's just interesting that, we haven't seen Corbin Knights on TV these last couple of weeks. So... we saw Dom. Dom went right after King Corbin, hit some quick strikes before he set Corbin out of the ring. But Corbin loved him with a clothesline for a 2 count. And Corbin quickly got the win here. This was not a long match. Corbin won with the end of days, right? Just didn't care. Didn't care, right? Because we'll probably see Dominic beat Corbin in a rematch in the next couple weeks, and that will be that. I don't know. My problem with Dominic is, he's pretty decent in the ring. It's just his mic skills need a lot of work. That's all. I still feel like he could have benefited in being in NXT, potentially probably becoming a cruiserweight champion. I feel like, that would be a good role for Dominic to go after. And then, I would send Dominic down to NXT. quickly have him become a cruiserweight champion. You know, have him hold that title, work on his mic skills in the Performance Center, right, with Triple H and Matt Bloom and those guys down there. And then I would have him come back up to SmackDown a little bit later on in the year. That's what I would do. But yeah, we'll just see. But hey, it is what it is. I don't care about Baron Corbin, right? I think you should have Dominic and Rey in the tag team division, personally, because you need more tag teams. I don't know why WWE hasn't pulled the trigger on that. I feel like they could do a nice little father-son storyline with Dominic and Rey. You know, maybe going to WrestleMania or maybe SummerSlam, right? Father-son, you know, tag team duo. But that's my thoughts. That's what I think you should be doing with Dominic and Rey, not this boring Baron Corbin bullshit. But we'll see what happens. You know, we'll see. But Corbin got the win. I expect there to probably be a rematch, and then Dominic will eventually get, you know, his payback on Corbin. Last but not least, we had Adam Pearce versus Paul Heyman. And I told you guys at the beginning of the podcast, I already knew where they were going with this the second that they did. You know, as much as I would love to see Paul Heyman and Adam Pearce go at it, that would be hilarious, right? This started with less than like 8 minutes left in the show. So I was like, all right, well, I know what they're going to do here. And plus, Heyman, the second Heyman came out in a suit and not in actual fight gear, I knew that, you know, we weren't going to see an actual match. Pierce was in the middle of the ring wearing the tracksuit and sweatpants again, and Heyman pretended to have a leg injury. The same thing Pierce did last week when he named Kevin Owens his replacement for Roman Reigns at the Rumble. So then Reigns came in the ring. At first, I thought it was going to be Jey Uso, but like I said, he wasn't on the show at all yesterday. And Roman Reigns came to the ring. As soon as he hit the ring, Roman nailed him with a Superman punch. Pierce tried to come back, but a low blow stopped him in his tracks. Roman was just my boy just texted me some but anyway, so what was I saying? Roman Reigns is just beating the hell out of Adam Pearce, and I thought this was gonna go into the end of the show, right? We see them, and you know they're starting. Roman's is throwing Adam Pearce into the monitors, you know, inside the Thunderdome. But then KO comes out of nowhere. He's in all black. KO cut a really good promo earlier in the show, right? Because Roman's used like his influence. Roman used his influence on SmackDown to say that Kevin Owens wasn't going to be on the show at all. All right. But KO, when he came to the arena, KO said, okay, Roman, all right, I don't know why you're doing this, why you're that afraid of me, but he cut a really good promo talk about, you know, how the reason why he keeps fighting is his tattoos, right? How he has tattoos for his mom, his kids, his dad, but how he had tattoos for his grandparents, right? Who kept fighting with illnesses up until they died a couple years ago. And, you know, the reason why he kept fighting is because they kept fighting all the way to the very end. So, you know, I love how KO's getting this nice little babyface push. It just sucks, like I said, KO's not going to win the Universal title at the Royal Rumble. He's not. And I don't know what you're going to do with KO after that, right? Because you've done a good job building him up in this feud with Roman. I just don't know where he's going to go once this feud ends. But we see KO, right? He comes out with the black tracksuit and he saved Adam Pearce. And he starts attacking Roman. You know, they brought in the LED screens, and then they got back to the ring. Owens blocked a Superman punch and hit a stunner. You know, then the officials come out, right? But still, KO and Roman kept fighting. KO hit a second stunner on the outside of the ring, and then he put Roman Reigns through an announce table with a pop-up powerbomb. Right, a nice little pop-up powerbomb, and that's how the show ended. So KO getting some payback on Roman made sense, right? Because if you look at it, KO has had to take beatdown after beatdown after beatdown from Roman every single week. So KO getting some payback here on Roman Reigns, man. You had to do it. You had to do it, especially before Mania. You know, so yeah, it's interesting. You know, I don't see KO winning. I don't see him winning at all. And maybe we don't see Jey Uso come back to the Rumble. Because remember, he's, like I said, he's like an X factor here because it's always been 2-on-1. It doesn't matter if it's last man standing match. That's easy. Jey can easily get involved. So as long as Roman has backup, it's a 2-on-1, not a 1-on-1 last man standing match, unless KO is able to get Jey out of the picture. So we'll see if that's what happens next week, right? I could definitely see Jey Uso being back next week and maybe KO, maybe taking him out, so it's just him and Roman at the Rumble. And I expect it to be another great match. These two have great chemistry. I can't wait to see how they end this, but I just don't see KO winning no matter what, right? I see Kevin says, what's going on with Buddy Murphy? I don't know. I don't know. We haven't really seen him. Like, there was supposed to be rumors saying that they were going to continue with the Buddy Murphy and Alea squad, or the Alea storyline, but they haven't been on television in a month, and I don't know if people are going to care now, right? If you look at it. I don't think WWE's gonna care now to put the storyline back on television. And even if you did, right, the fans wouldn't care about it because you like they after they took care of Seth, right, they were on television for 1 week after that, and that was it. So maybe that storyline's just done. I would love to see Buddy Murphy in the mid card scene, fighting for IC titles, but I don't know. He's definitely very talented. I have no answer to that. But yeah, other than that, guys, that's about it for tonight's podcast. I know this was a special edition of the pod. I went on for over an hour and a half, which I'm kind of surprised. But since we were live, I decided, let's just be a little bit laid back and interact with the chat a little bit more. But other than that, that's all I got for you guys today. I'll be back here on Monday with another episode of the podcast for the Monday Night Raw review. Also, and of course, Royal Rumble is next week, so we will have a Royal Rumble preview next week. Most likely on the same time we do the SmackDown review, right? I might just do both those at once. We're going to have a Royal Rumble live stream and the Royal Rumble review, of course, right after the Royal Rumble goes off the air. So, a lot to look forward to, right? WrestleMania season's on the horizon, and I'll keep you guys updated with everything going on. Excuse me. Other than that, guys, that's all I got for you guys today. Leave a like on the video if you guys enjoyed the stream, right? Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. Hit the bell next to my name, Fitzmonk TV, so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. I'm going to get out of here. You guys stay safe and healthy, y'all. Follow me on social media, and the links are in the description down below. Peace.